It's like you want them to make like a vampire movie where they never bite anybody and instead they just make everyone toast or something. It's like, well, I'm going to make you toast. It's like, don't you usually bite me on the neck? Not today. Too cliche. What's up, you guys? Welcome to Boss Level 8, where we make fun of movie critics. Today we are talking about the movie Anna and the Apocalypse. It's got zombies. It's a musical. It's British, and it's set during Christmas. And yeah, that's pretty much what you're gonna get from this movie. Probably pretty similar to whatever you picture in your head. But we're gonna read Jake Wilson's review together for the first time and see what he has to say about it. I have a feeling this is gonna be a really funny review because of what he's reviewing. It's gonna be nonsense. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it so you can get notified every single time we have a new video. Also, just so you guys know, we're actually live recording on Twitch. There will be a link in the description so that you can go check that out. But let's take a look at this review together right now. Zombies, I fear, don't have much life left in them. Oh man, this is charming already. At least not judging by Anna and the Apocalypse, the second feature from Scottish director John McPhail, which reanimates a bunch of jokes used more than a decade ago in Shaun of the Dead. Kind of, I guess. It's also kind of weird to like, no. I understand making a parallel like that, but that's like saying that like, oh, that zombie movie is just like that zombie movie. Or like, oh, they all were singing, that's just like that other musical I saw where they sang. It's gonna happen. Like it's a similar idea. It's a similar genre. So you have the genre, so certain things are gonna feel similar. Just like when you hear two different pop songs and you're like, I feel like I've heard this before. You may have, you also may not have. It might just feel familiar. It's like, have you ever accidentally slept with someone's sibling? Like it felt familiar. You didn't even know at the time. You were just drunk.
No.
Is that not true? I didn't know it was her brother. It felt familiar. Fuses them with the trappings of High School Musical and sets the whole thing around Christmas for maximum incongruity. How is that incongruent? Zombies don't only, you know, fuck shit up during Halloween. Like, they don't know that it's Halloween. They're not like, oh, it's almost the 31st, we should become undead. It's not like Santa who's like clockwork, it's almost Christmas Eve, gotta get ready. The result is a novelty item without much in the way of novelty, at least for anyone old enough to recognize the sources. Wouldn't that make it a novelty? Like, if you go buy a New York City shot glass because you were in New York City, that's a novelty item referencing New York City. Am I wrong? Like, isn't that what that is? Like, isn't a novelty item of Mario something that looks like Mario but isn't actually Mario or the game itself? Novelty. Pretty sure. I like how I grab something when there's 50 fucking things behind me. Anna, Ella Hunt, is a high school student whose plan after graduation is to take a gap year and head for Australia, disappointing her widowed father, Mark Benton, who has his heart set on her academic success. So far, so good. The film spends a solid half hour asking us to invest in this conflict and other equally mundane dramas involving Anna and her friends, drawn out to the point where almost anyone will long for the zombies to attack. You might even say they were trying to build some characters so that when the zombies did attack, you had an emotional connection, and if something bad happened, you might feel sad. Because in the trailer, you know it's a musical, and you know there's zombies. So the impending knowledge that at some point it's gonna still be a musical and there will be zombies actually made it kind of interesting, in my opinion, because it's building to that. So you're like, when's it gonna happen? Weirder things are starting to happen. Okay. That slow build that makes it eventually go there is kind of part of the fun. And thanks for taking that fun out of it. Even when they do, the film remains bound to formula. The lead sneaking around trying to avoid the undead or battling. Yeah, because zombies are attacking. It's like, oh, it's just a formula. Things are trying to kill them and they're just like sneaking around and avoiding death. Oh, what a cliche. It's like you want them to make like a vampire movie where they never bite anybody and instead they just make everyone toast or something. It's like, well, I'm going to make you toast. It's like, don't you usually bite me on the neck? Not today. Too cliche. I also don't know what accent that turned into, but it was fun for me.
I don't know. I want cereal now.
Oh, all right. How much? One cereal. Battling them with improvised weapons, some of them seasonally appropriate, such as a giant candy cane sharpened to a point. Of course, it's sharpened to a point so that you could put it into a lawn. It's a lawn decoration. So it's not like they whittled a fucking... Don't lead people to believe that they're like manufacturing weapons, okay? That's just nonsense and bullshit. You are misleading the people reading this right now. All this is frankly silly without being particularly funny. In some ways, it is close to old-fashioned children's television, especially Paul Kaye's capering performance as a secondary villain named Mr. Savage, a teacher who longs for revenge on his pupils and sees the destruction of humanity as a small price to pay. It's interesting because it seems like your reaction to this is someone who never has seen a musical. Musicals are genuinely over the top and campy often. Even the ones that are incredibly dramatic, because there's singing involved and they're on a stage normally, is over the top and somewhat campy sometimes. So being like, oh, there's this over the top nonsense secondary villain, you didn't expect that, and when it showed up you were like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I also accidentally sounded like Norm McDonald there. Yeah. Tone in these enterprises is all important, and Anna and the Apocalypse never finds one that will work. The idea of a zombie musical sounds like high camp by definition, but the pop rock score by Roddy Hart and Tommy Riley is weirdly free of irony or excess. With the irony shouldn't be in the score or the words of the score. The irony is the stuff going on the screen. It's satirical. If you've ever seen A Clockwork Orange, the fact that they have ridiculously happy music while something horrible is going on might clue you into what satire is. So, same thing during this. Literally, zombies attacking while a musical going on at all is satire. And the way that they did it actually would have been ruined if the lyrics were saying what was going on, or even metaphorically saying everything that was going on. That would have actually ruined it. Doing it straightforward like that is what worked. And if you can't understand why it worked, you were clearly in the wrong theater. With crushingly banal lyrics delivered for the most part in all earnestness, it's hard to hide when the truth inside rises up like a tidal wave. How are you not understanding that that's the point? Let's make something ridiculously similar to the musicals we see, like High School Musical, except let's put this horrible tragedy and all this weird shit in it so that we have satire. It's so weird to explain satire to a writer. The satire seems like a really simple concept. It's like you have this thing and you twist it to this thing and now you have this thing. Right. It's a really small, simple concept. It's actually easier to understand than irony, i.e. the song Ironic, which got it completely wrong. And most people being like, huh, ironic, and being completely wrong. But if I go, this is satirical, or this is parody, most of the time people go, oh yeah, that makes sense. The dialogue is sweary and mildly grotty in the British manner, but the young actors are squeaky clean. Not much different from their Disney Channel counterparts. The choreography is amateur night. The problem is this adds to the point. It's literally making fun of those musicals. It's satire, it's parody, it's making light of it. It's using those as a way to get other points across. So if the characters are reminiscent of the other characters in these Hollywooded movies, it makes sense. I don't know, based on like the first fucking song, it might have been the second, which was literally about how Hollywood endings are kind of bullshit. So they're presenting you with, we made a Hollywood movie right away. They say it to your face. It's so crazy. This guy probably asked why there's no Garfield in Garfield minus Garfield comics. The film eventually acquires a certain gravity by default, especially once the leads start getting killed off. And the survivors have to concede the end of the world isn't all harmless fun. Man, that's a weird reading into this. I can't think of a moment once they noticed that people were dying that they thought any of it was fun. Except for like the people that they literally said, this is fun, and everyone else was like, it's fucked up that you think this is fun. So I don't know where you got that at all. It's almost like you left to get popcorn and take a piss, hopefully not in your popcorn, and then came back right when people were having fun, and then left again, I don't know, to get butter to make the piss taste better. I don't know what you did. I don't know how you got this. All the same, an underlying coziness persists, with even the graphic gore treated as a movie convention rather than as anything with the power to shock. Honestly, if they used the gore to shock, that would have been cliche and you would have been upset. And now they didn't, and you're like, upset. It would be like if your girlfriend or your wife was like, I got a surprise for you tonight, and you were like, I hope it's not lingerie, that's so cliche. And then she like returns the lingerie that she got because she didn't want to disappoint you. And then you walk into the room and he's like, no lingerie? There's a curious moment when blood spurts from a zombie's crushed head, causing one of the heroes to vomit. This last touch happens discreetly off screen, as if McPhail were afraid to confront the audience with one bodily fluid too many. I guess. That's the end of the review? What? I'm starting to think he actually went out to get some butter piss popcorn because this guy's got bodily fluid on the mind. I could be completely wrong. Also, it's really weird to be like, hey, why didn't you show the vomit? It's kind of an odd thing. You showed the blood spattering out of someone's head. Why not the vomit, sir? Are you not a true filmmaker? Well, that's the weirdest, dumbest review I think I've ever read. That ended super abruptly and made no sense. We'd love to hear what you thought of Anna and the Apocalypse, if you've seen it, if you're gonna go see it, and what you thought of this review. Make sure you put it down in the comments. I would just like to say that based on the description of this movie, it is exactly what you think it's gonna be. So if you feel like seeing it, it's probably gonna be exactly what you think. That being said, we did record this live on Twitch, and you can join us anytime we are on there doing lots of things, including recording our shows live with you guys, hanging out. And some of the jokes actually came from people in the chat, and they are amazing, and we thank them. And you can check out some of the videos on the screen right now. And until we see you next time, geek out and game on.